In the early 1960s, the nation's capital is not very welcoming to francophones. Ottawa is resolutely English, and English is the working language at all levels of the federal government. Prime Minister John Diefenbaker has his own vision of what it means to be Canadian.
I'm the first Prime Minister of this country of neither altogether English or French origin. So I determined to bring about a Canadian citizenship that knew no hyphenated consideration.
Journalist André Laurendeau watches and worries.
Is it only by coincidence that Quebec separatism has gained in importance during Mr. Diefenbaker's tenure? I don't think so.
In 1962, Diefenbaker is re-elected, but Quebecers vote massively for the opposition Liberals and for a new party, Réal Cahouette's Créditistes.
Donnons aux hommes, aux femmes et aux enfants du Canada le pouvoir d'achat.
There are almost no francophones in federal institutions. It's an explosive situation. Donald Gordon, the president of the Canadian National Railways, sets off the spark. Once a year, he has to report on the railway's activities to a House of Commons committee. This particular year, 1962, he is ambushed by Créditiste MP Gilles Grégoire. Grégoire holds up the CNR's annual report.
I note we have 1 president, 17 vice presidents, and 10 directors, and none of these is French-Canadian.
Gordon has an answer.
As far as I am personally concerned, and as I am the president of the CNR, there is not going to be a promotion or an appointment made just because a man is French-Canadian. He has got to be a French-Canadian plus other things, and he has to be as able as the other fellow who has a claim on the job.
Later, Gordon tries to soften his remarks.
The plain fact is that the railway industry has not, in the past, been an attractive industry for French Canadians on the record. Now, it's one thing to open the door, and it's quite another thing to get people to come through it.
But he has outraged French Canadians everywhere. For André Laurendeau, Gordon is stating the obvious.
Mr. Gordon has this quality. He is brutally frank. He says very loudly what others do just as well as he does, only without saying so. 23 federal organizations out of 78 practice the same total exclusion.
Laurendeau calls for a royal commission on the conditions of French Canadians in Canada. It's the night of May 16th, 1963, at Gérard Pelletier's house in Westmount. 3 men are chatting: Pelletier, Laurendeau, and René Lévesque. It's almost 2 a.m. Pelletier races out.
Already the tenants in the neighborhood are out in their nightshirts. Suddenly a large woman cries out, "The mailbox! There was a mailbox here!" It begins to dawn on us. René becomes very agitated. "Let's go see elsewhere," he says. "There were 3 explosions, no? I want to see where the other bombs went off." It's the old reporter in him. It's like he smells a scoop.
On that May evening, 10 bombs have been placed in mailboxes in Westmount. For more than 2 months now, the Front de Libération du Québec has been setting off bombs. Most of the targets are symbols of the British monarchy. Laurendeau is deeply shaken.
I compare them to wild beasts who have escaped from their cages, who lurk in some dark corner and who will, if this keeps up, spread terror through the city.
Terrorism is now part of the political landscape. In 1963, Lester Pearson's Liberals are elected. One of the first things he does is appoint a royal commission on bilingualism and biculturalism. To head it, he appoints Davidson Dunton, a former CBC president, and André Laurendeau. It will be the most painful experience of his life. Lester Pearson also believes the country needs its own national symbols. Canada has existed for 97 years, but it still uses the red ensign as its flag. In Winnipeg, before the Canadian Legion, he pitches his vision.
I believe that today a flag designed around the maple leaf will symbolize and be a true reflection of the new Canada.
He is in for a fight.
Oh, I don't think that that'll aid the cause of any unity. I think that that'll be controversial for many, many decades to come.
We can live under the same flag we've been living under ever since Canada existed, as far as I'm concerned. One that British flag, right?
I think it should have maybe two flags. Be nice.
In Quebec, it's not an issue.
Non, il est grand temps qu'on puisse avoir un drapeau, franchement, vis-à-vis les autres pays, parce qu'on a donné un peu arriéré, autrement dit.
It is in this supercharged atmosphere that Parliament begins the flag debate. John Diefenbaker leads the charge against Pearson.
Out with a red ensign. In with the three maple leaves.
Canadians are invited to use their imagination and talent. A parliamentary committee will look at more than 2,000 designs. On December 14th, 1964, Canada gets its own unique flag. But Canada's existential crisis is very deeply rooted. It will require more than symbols to resolve it. Elections are set for 1965, and Pearson is looking for a new Quebec team. His first choice is Jean Marchand, a fiery labor leader. Marchand is afraid to go to Ottawa alone. He accepts only if Pelletier and university professor Pierre Trudeau are also candidates. Trudeau was not wanted. Less than 2 years before, he had virulently attacked Pearson over nuclear arms. His conversion to the party seems hasty and lukewarm.
Je peux dire sincèrement que mes rencontres officielles avec le Parti libéral ou ses représentants, personnellement, remontent à hier. Ça fait même pas 24 heures. I thought that it was perhaps time for me to try and stop criticizing others and start trying to do something. And if I succeed, well and good, and if I don't, I hope others will criticize me, and I hope I will get the heck out of there if I can't do a good job.
In the midst of a national crisis, Pearson has bet on 3 political rookies. Journalists dub them the 3 wise men.
Nous devons avoir l'ambition de gouverner pour notre part le Canada dans son ensemble, parce que ce pays-là, dont d'aucuns ont l'air de croire qu'il appartient strictement aux gens qui parlent anglais, je suis convaincu qu'il appartient aussi et également aux gens qui parlent français.
All 3 are elected, and in a very few years, their impact will be enormous.